Hey there, Mr. Weaver here. This is topic 7, lesson 2, adding and subtracting polynomials. After this lesson, you need to be able to add polynomials and you need to be able to subtract polynomials. You'll know you're successful after this lesson if you can add polynomials by combining like terms and subtract polynomials by adding the opposite, then combining like terms. There are no definitions really in this lesson, so let's get right into some examples. So first, let's look at adding polynomials. Before we get into adding and subtracting, let's review what it means to combine like terms. So in previous grades, you may have learned that combining like terms is putting all of the a's together and all of the x's together and so on. Well, in these polynomials, you're going to be seeing a lot of the same variable. So when you are combining like terms, not only are you going to put terms with the same letter together, but they also have to have the same exponent. Once you've put those things together, you are going to add the coefficients so you can combine like terms. So here I have 4x minus 3x squared plus 2x plus 5 plus x squared. I'm going to start with the highest degree. That way when I am done, it puts it in standard form already. So here I have minus 3x to the second power. That's the highest degree I have. I'm going to look through, are there any other x to the second powers? Yes, there's another one at the end. So I had minus 3x to the second powers and add one more x to the second power. So to combine these, I'm going to add their coefficients. So negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. And then I'm going to put that x squared back on. So there are negative 2x to the second powers here. Now I'm going to go to the next highest exponent, which is 1. There's a 4x and a plus 2x. Remember, if there's no symbol out front, it's a plus. So positive 4 plus 2 is 6. Notice I put plus 6 because when we write it back in a polynomial form, you're going to need that plus or minus. So plus 6, and those were x's. And then finally, there's just that plus 5. There's nothing to combine it with, so I'm going to leave it as it is. Now I'm going to put them all back together as one polynomial. So I would have minus 2x to the second power plus 6x plus 5. Now it's your turn. Pause the video. Combine like terms for the y variables here. And if you do it from the largest exponent to the lowest to begin with, you're already putting it in standard form. Let's check. You should have ended up with 12y to the third power minus 5y plus 7. For the y to the thirds, there's 7 plus 5, which gives you 12. For the just y, you have minus 3 and minus 2. Negative 3 plus negative 2 is negative 5. And then there's just the 7. Now that we've reviewed combining like terms, let's get into our addition and subtraction. When we're doing this, you're essentially just going to be combining like terms, but I want you to think about this in terms of what you already know. So think about if you had 107 plus 64. And maybe back in first or second grade when you were learning to add, you were taught to group things together. Starting with the ones, I had 107. So 7 ones. There are no 10s, but there's one 100. If I wanted to add 64, I would have 6 10s and 4 1s. I grouped the 1s together, I grouped the 10s together, I grouped the 100s together. So for polynomials and for this, once your things are together, you just add each part separately. And actually for polynomials, it's a little bit less work because here 7 plus 4 would be 11, and then I'd have to move 10 over to the other column and then do it again. Polynomials is going to be the same process, but hopefully a little easier. Let's look at how it works. So I'm going to follow the same process. I'm going to place my first polynomial in each group. So I had minus 3, like the ones. I have a 2x, and I have a 4x squared. So if I want to add, I'm going to place the other polynomial where it fits along with it. So I would put the plus 6 with the other constant, minus 3, like our ones. Here, there are no x terms. It's like in the last problem where there were no 10s. So there's 0 x's, and I had 3x squareds. Notice each column has like terms. So I'm going to combine like terms. Now, just like adding that you learned in younger grades, we're going to go through and combine things together. So negative 3 plus 6 is positive 3. Plus 2x plus 0 is plus 2x. And positive 4 plus positive 3 is positive 7, x squared. By setting it up this way, it's already in the format of your answer, so you would just write it combined together. I added those two and got 7x squared plus 2x plus 3. That is my answer for my addition problem. It might not look like what you did in younger grades with a traditional answer, where like before if we had 107 plus 64 and get 171, but this is essentially the same piece of information. Okay, this is our total after we have added these together. All right, now it's your turn. Pause the video. What is the sum of 3x squared plus 2x plus 7 and 9 minus x? Make some columns, sort things in, make sure they go in the correct column before adding things together. Let's check. You should have got 3x squared plus x plus 16, or 3x squared plus 1x plus 16. If we look at where things are grouped, our top one, 3x squared plus 2x plus 7, that 9 would be grouped with the 7 because they don't have any x's. The minus x would be grouped with the 2x because they both just have a single x. And that's actually a minus 1x. And there were no x squareds in the second one. Adding it together, we get our total. Now let's look at subtraction. So subtraction is going to have one step before, and then we're going to add like we just did. If you think back, when we were learning to add and subtract with negative numbers, subtracting is just adding the opposite thing, right? If you wanted to do 5 minus 2, it's the same as 5 plus negative 2. Subtracting is adding the opposite. So we're going to use that and change our subtraction into addition. So I'm going to change the second part, the part that's being subtracted, to the opposite so I can add. Notice everything in that second part changed to the opposite sign. So it was 3x plus 2, now it's minus 3x plus 2. It was minus 8, now it's plus 8. It was plus 5x, now it's minus 5x. Everything is the opposite, so we can add. Now, let's use the same as before. So I'm going to group in, I have minus 2, 3x. I don't have any x squareds, but I have plus 6x to the third power. Now, if I plug in my second, I had that plus 8. I have a minus 5x. Here I have a minus 3x squared. But in the second one, I don't have any x to the third powers. Once I've grouped everything that's alike, now I can just do like I did before, add them together. So negative 2 plus 8 is positive 6. Positive 3x minus 5x is minus 2x. 0 minus 3 is minus 3x squared. And 6x to the third plus 0 is 6x to the third. By doing this again, I already have it in standard form. That is my final answer. 6x to the third minus 3x to the second minus 2x plus 6. So one extra step at the beginning, but then it's back to our process of addition. So it really only gives you one thing to know how to do.
Now it's your turn.
Pause the video, subtract the two polynomials here by adding the opposite. Again, be careful that you are grouping the correct things together. Let's check. You should have got 3x to the third minus 2x to the second plus 5x minus 2. Here's how we get that. If we place our first ones, we have 0x to the second power term, so I put a 0 there. The rest I sorted. Then I changed the signs of all the second ones, so I should have had minus 4 plus x minus 2x to the second. Placed those where they need to go. Now I can add, and we end up with our total 3x to the third minus 2x squared plus 5x minus 2. In this lesson, we learned about adding and subtracting polynomials. So adding polynomials is just another way really of saying combine like terms. When we're adding polynomials, you're grouping the terms that have the same variable and the same exponent together. Then you just add their coefficients. So for example, if we add 3x squared plus 6x plus 7 plus 6x squared minus 9x plus 3, your answer would be 9x squared minus 3x plus 10. Since our x squared terms, 3 plus 6 is 9. In our x terms, 6 plus negative 9 is negative 3. And for our constant terms, 7 plus 3 is 10. We just combined the things that were alike. When we're subtracting, the process is very similar. There's just one step right at the beginning. That would be that you're changing your subtraction into adding the opposite. So once you change that second polynomial into the opposite, then you just combine like terms like you're adding. So if we wanted to subtract those same two polynomials, we would change the signs of the second one, so they're all the opposite. So to negative 6x squared plus 9x minus 3. Then we add it. We would get minus 3x squared plus 15x plus 4 as our answer. So adding and subtracting are essentially the same process, but subtraction has that one extra step at the beginning. And just remember, combining like terms is the key to all of this. So after this lesson, do you now know how to add polynomials by combining like terms? And do you know how to subtract polynomials by adding the opposite, then combining like terms? If you're not sure about these things, go back and look at the examples of how things are set up, where things are grouped, so you can gain a deeper understanding of this concept. And that's the end of lesson 2 on adding and subtracting polynomials.